It's your stage. If any of you were ever in a show with Jim, you probably recognize that trick. It was his favorite shtick. He had a couple of favorite shticks, but that was one of them. So, welcome. I know why you're here. And so am I. Because like so many of you, Jim was not only one of my very favorite performers, but he was also one of my favorite people on the planet. Well, I suppose you all know the custom that performers have of giving each other notes on opening night or closing night. And usually there's a takeoff from one of the lines from the show. When we did on Golden Pond, I chose the line that Ethel says. She says, "Norman, you're the sweetest man in the world, and I'm the only one who knows it." But that's not what my note said. My note said, "Norman, you're the sweetest man in the world, and I'm one of only hundreds of people who know it." And it was too true, of course. I mean, if you cared for Jim, you had to share. It was a privilege. As Lord Byron said, all who joy would win must share it. Happiness was born a twin. So tonight, a few of us privileged hundreds are going to share that privilege again and share some memories and songs and videos in honor of and starring our Jim, or as he would call it, the late Jim Tharp. Yeah, it was his other running joke. You couldn't let go of that, could you? You son of a gun. Oh. Well, first here with her tribute is Sally Davis, dear friend, fellow performer, who first shared the musical stage with Jim in Diamond Head Theater's Music Man. Now.
Hi, I'm Sally. Thank you for having me, everyone, and letting me share. I met Jim in 1998, when I was born. During the Music Man at Diamond Head Theater. I was Marion the librarian, and he was Mayor George Shin, of course. Jim had more class than any man I'd ever met. He was a fantastic actor with a dynamic voice and a truly great man. We were together for many years. This song that I'm going to perform for you and for Jim is actually from all the women that loved him on stage and in life. First his wife Pat. Where are you, Pat? Where's Pat? His first wife Pat. There she is. Hi, Pat. Yes, we're friends. And Jo Pruden. She was married to him the most, yes? 7 times. Yeah. And beautiful Jan McGrath. Jan, I know he was your knight in shining armor. And Shari, his Rosie. And all those that I've forgotten, I'm so sorry. And Joyce and Becky and Jade and oh no, his son there, and the Dow, and all his children. So this is from all of us girls to Jim. I was going to sing Goodnight My Someone, but I couldn't get through it. I did sing to him a request at Kaiser for him, Wind Beneath My Wings, the last time I saw him. So that was special. So this one, to start off, is from us girls that love Jim. fragrant meadows of dawn and dew. There was love all around, but I never heard it sing. No, I never heard it at all till there was you.
Music Man, of course, was another first for Jim. He was playing Joe Cruden's husband in what was to be the longest stage marriage in Hollywood, Hawaii, in history. And they carried the torch of that mutual admiration and friendship off stage as well as on, all through these years. Sarah?
As you've already heard, Jim and I played husband and wife on stage 7 times over a period of 25 years, beginning with the Music Man at Honolulu Community Theater in 1988, Sally. And then 2013 at Manoa Valley Theater. In between, there was Cat on a Hot Tin Roof in 1992 at Diamond Head Theater. I think the Rick and Maggie are both here. Then there was On Golden Pond in 1998 with Barefoot Players. Anybody remember them? We performed the show in the Honolulu Academy of Arts Theater, and apparently not too many people knew how to find the place. Audiences were sort of small. One Sunday night there were 2 people in the house. So I think the whole cast went out and asked them if they would mind coming back to another performance. They graciously agreed to do that, but I have no idea whether they... And the director of that show, Ben Gutierrez, is here. I loved getting to play Ethel, a role that I inherited when Jan became ill. Another 6 years passed, and Joyce cast us in All My Sons at HPU. 8 years went by, and Glenn Cannon cast us both in August, Osage County. We had only one short scene together in that one before he went off and killed himself, which he had also done in All My Sons. Is there a message there? Ever since we had done Cat in 1992, Jim wanted to do it again, and I wanted to work with him in it again. We met with various people over several years, including Jim Hutchison and Glenn Cannon, trying to figure out how to get it mounted again. We proposed it to MVT, all to no avail. But then Brad Powell agreed to put it in TAG's 2013 season with Glenn directing. Sadly, Glenn passed away before the show was completely cast, and we have one more brick is here tonight. Scott is here. Dennis Prue took over, and Jim and I soldiered on as Big Daddy and Big Mama. The last time we worked together was in quartet at MBT in 2013. We weren't actually married in that one, but we had been for all of 9 hours. And by the end of the show, it looked as if we might get together again. Interestingly enough, we never acted together when we weren't either married or recently. Every show I did with Jim was a joy and sometimes an adventure. He inhabited every character he played with complete honesty and authenticity, and with occasional rewrites, which I was guilty of from time to time, but we trusted each other to get back on track, and we kept each other on our toes. In between our work on stage, Jim was just a good friend. On occasion, when you'd run into him somewhere, he'd say, "If you invite me to dinner, I'll bring pie." And how could you refuse? He made great pies. As I recall, he specialized in cobblers. The point of all this is to say that I loved him. I loved him as a friend, as an actor, as a stage partner. I loved his crazy sense of humor, which he never lost. I loved his courage over the years in dealing with his illness. I loved his daredevil attitude in going skydiving on his 70th birthday, even though the instructor was reluctant to take him up. I mourn the loss of our quarter century of on-again and off-again stage marriages. But most of all, I mourn the loss of a bright, funny, dear, and loving friend that I will always, always remember with deep and abiding affection.
Thank you, Joe. You know, Jim did fewer musicals than he did straight plays, but he dearly loved to sing. And even in his last years, he would go as often as he could to Blossom Hoffman's voice classes. Is Blossom here? Yes. So she knew, as did Joe and I, and anyone else that was fortunate enough to hear him sing it, that this was his favorite song from Les Mis. And to perform it for us tonight, we have the incomparable Kip Wilburn.
There have been so many really beautiful anecdotes, and I'll just add something brief because I didn't really prepare anything. But I didn't know Jim as long as so many of you did, but he was such a joy. I had the privilege of coaching Jan and Joe and Howard Bishop and Jim in quartet on the Italian, and Jim did love to sing, and he played a rakish character in this that began the quartet. And sometimes he would start singing it. And I say, "No, Jim, you can't do that. You've got to lip sync." So I'll do one thing for you, Jim, because you always want to do this. Bella figlia dell'amore. All right. But, you know, I always enjoyed him, and that was a brief meeting when I was first really here on the islands, kind of semi-permanently, as far as here all the time. And I would see him around town at different plays and different events. And no matter what was going on, I mean, eventually I would kind of hear what was going on with him. He always had such a positive note. It may have a little curmudgeon edge, but he was always so great, and he was always interested in what was going on with me. That was really sweet. And as I was standing on the lanai today, and it had such a festive party atmosphere, I thought, Jim would have really done this. So, thank you for asking me to do this, because the short amount of time that we spent together, he was really such a treasure.
Well, we know that Jim could do the gravitas of a song like that, or he could be the grump, or he could make us absolutely howl at the goof with gun. And comedy was one of his very first loves, so his timing was priceless. He was notorious for his heh. And one of his favorite sidekicks, now not only on stage, but in all the realms of his life, from law to theater, was his great friend, Alan Akubo.
I formally met Jim after 2001. I had been beat out for a poa killer by this guy named Jim Tharp. I thought, what's he going to do with another award? Someday. But that's not where we met. Since we're both attorneys and handle similar cases, we both attended the same courts. One day we were sitting next to each other, so I introduced myself. As he looked down at me, I slowly rose from my kneeling position to kiss the ring that he had thrust in my face. Thus, a friendship was born. We would sit in court and make jokes and remarks about the judges. We would be the only ones laughing as the court proceedings went on. Talk about our cases, about theater, about what productions we were doing. We talked about working together, but our theatrical paths were different. He did mostly musicals, and I didn't sing. Well, the dilemma continued for years until in 2005, he mentioned he was going to be doing Oloa Rosies at HBU under Joyce Maltby. The problem was, it was a musical. Hesitantly, I figured this might be my only chance for us to work together. So I went to auditions. Sitting there, I watched wave after wave of people go up, present sheet music to Don Conover, the musical director, and sing on key. I was doomed. When it was my turn, I got up, went up to Don and said, I have no sheet music. And the song I would be singing won't be on key, since I would be singing as a baby. Reluctantly, he let me sing. After I finished and slunk away to my seat, I wondered where Jim was. As I looked around, I saw Joyce roll out a red carpet. And Don started playing Pomp and Circumstance. Then from the shadows entered Jim, with a spotlight on him, as he strolled down the red carpet. Despite my lack of singing talent, I was honored to finally be on stage with Jim. It was our only play together. We would go to see plays at Manoa Valley, TAG, HBU, and Kumu. Our ritual for Kumu was to meet at Murphy's for drinks and chicken wings. Oh, how I loved those chicken wings. We would later produce and act together in a movie that we shot in 2011 and was in HIF in 2012, parts of the same circle, which a lot of you here were in. It was a grueling labor of love that took all of 2011 to shoot, and we bonded even more by doing it. One day, he declared his name would be Kenji. He said since we, Dan Seki, Denny Hironaga, Eric Mimoto, and myself were all Japanese, we felt out of place. So he adopted his Japanese name and became James Kenji Fuck. I would visit him at his mansion on the hill, Kaiser Hospital. oxygen and strained to talk. He was hoping to be discharged shortly, but only after his breathing got better. He looked weak, and as I left, I hoped we'd have another round of chicken wings. He called me several weeks later and sounded like his normal self. They had drained fluid from his lungs and he could breathe normally again. It still wasn't enough for chicken wings. The next time he called, a few weeks later, I asked if he was back at his mansion on the hill. He said, no. This time he was at Halinani, but was going to get discharged shortly, so I never visited. I texted him on March 21st, 2017. I asked, hey old man, how you doing? Call me. He usually took several days to call. This time the call never came. Kenji, I will miss the banter we had, the shows we shot together, and the shows I got to watch you in. And I will miss sharing chicken wings with you. Love you, my friend.
Well, with all of Jim's fine and talented friends, there were many happy songs waiting to be sung. And one of these is a musical request, and it's here for us from his friend, Ernest Harada.
I first met Jim when I went backstage to congratulate him after seeing one of his superb performances. I don't remember which one exactly because there were so many. So I went backstage and he said, I hear you're a professional actor. Are we ever going to work together? And I said, no. You see, I need a new liver, and I'm taking all this medication just to keep alive, but I'm hoping. And he said, do you read any magazines? I said, yes. He said, renew your subscription. Exactly. So I did. And I got a new liver. Every now and then you find a special friend who never lets you down, who understands it all, reaches out each time you fall. You're the best friend that I found. I know you can't stay, but part of you will never ever go away. Your heart will stay. And I believe Jim would say, I'll make a wish for you and hope it will come true, that life will just be kind to such a gentle mind. If you lose your way, think back on yesterday. Remember me this way. Remember this way, and I'll be right behind your shoulder watching you. I'll be standing by your side in all you do, and I won't ever leave as long as you believe. You just believe. I'll make a wish for you and hope it will come true, that life will just be kind to such a gentle mind. If you lose your way, think back on yesterday, remember me this way. Remember me this way. And I will, Jim. A flight of angels sing thee to thy rest. Aloha.
I never sang with Jim. But we did dance our way through many dialogues on and off stage. He was many things to many people. But to me, I guess I would say in local terms, he was my brother. We didn't walk in tandem. I didn't drink. He didn't love Obama. But we were okay. We shared good food, good movies, and hours mastering wines. I want you to know, even this last year, Paul, he was one mean Juliet. So much of the time, though, we were just laughing. We were laughing. Whether we were dripping over buttered popcorn at the movies or at our mutual infirmities. And we loved making other people laugh or cry as we got one more time sharing the stage in his last appearance in November, next to Danita. But it wasn't just the laughter. I think maybe because we shared survivorship. I was like his canary in the mine, surviving cancer, aging, parenting, grandparenting. So for all of that, I got to be one of the few that was let in on his concerns, his griefs as well. So we got to either commiserate or talk each other back to hope. And of course, that was always Jim's chosen mode of living. In 2004, when he was safely out of his first cancer surgery, Virginia Jones and I gave a party for him. And I wrote him this poem with apologies to Rudyard Kipling and his Gunga Din. Here is Uncle Jim. You may talk of gin and rye on the HPU Lanai after Friday night performances have ended, but when it comes to sticking, there's just one old coot can lick 'em, and we always get the punchlines he's intended. Now in Island Theatre Climb, where we like to spend our time, from TAG to MVT to ACT, of all them cast and crew, the finest mate we knew is our tardy, quipping, tripping Uncle Jim. It's been Jim, that lovable curmudgeon Esquire Jim. Though we've cell-phoned him and paged him, jumped his lines and upstaged him. He's a brighter star than we are, Uncle Jim. So we'll still be shouting encore when we've all crossed to that far shore where everyone gets co-star bows with him. We'll be falling on the floor, laughing at him evermore at our favourite star attraction, Uncle Jim. 'Cause it's Jim, Jim, Jim. You rapscallion, hyperactor, maestro Jim, though we've cussed you out and prized you by the living muse that's raised you. You're a brighter star than we are, Uncle Jim. Well now, this evening, although we get to talk about Jim, it is about Jim. So most of all, we need to see and hear from him. And we get to take a deep breath now as soon as we shift a few things, and we'll immerse ourselves in Jim's brilliant characterizations. First, with his friend Dendy's montage.
This is the slum that faces the bay on the seaward side of Brooklyn Bridge. This is the gullet of New York, swallowing the tonnage of the world. And now we're quite civilized, quite American. Now we settled for half. And I like it better. Well, I no longer keep a pistol in my filing cabinet, and my practice is entirely unromantic. Well, my wife told me, so did my friends, they tell me that people in this neighborhood lack glamour, elegance. After all, who have I dealt with all my life? Longshoremen and their wives, their fathers and grandfathers, compensation cases, evictions, family squabbles, the petty troubles of the poor. And yet, every few years, there is still a case. And when the parties tell me what the trouble is, the flat air in this office suddenly washes in with the green scent of the sea, and the dust in this air blows away, and the thought comes that in some Caesar's year, in Calabria perhaps, or on the cliff at Syracuse, another lawyer, quite differently dressed, heard the same complaint, sat there as powerless as I, and watched it run its bloody course. The turmoil of life in 19th century America cannot be underestimated. The noise, the pressure to be on time, to get things done, particularly the pressures on women like your mother to appear to be educated and well-informed.
My mother has been under a lot of stress for a very long time.
As I'm sure you know, women have very delicate nervous systems. They are biologically weaker than men.
Yes, of course.
Women's nervous systems are therefore much more easily given to dysfunction.
I understand.
Women are more emotional than men, and therefore less rational.
My mother has always been very easily upset.
Well, it's almost as if their nervous systems are at the beck and call of their reproductive system.
I understand. It's beyond their control.
Well, in the case of your mother, she suffers from two physical ailments which are the result of excessive grief on the brain. She complains of frequent urination. Now, this can be explained medically as hysterical bladder.
Caused by her tendencies towards hysteria.
Probably. In addition, there is some irritation of the spinal region caused by nervous debility. A great many nerves are clustered in the spinal region.
And what can you do about these ailments?
Well, we hope to improve her general physical condition so that she's more comfortable.
I'm also concerned because my mother is a practitioner of spiritualism. She claims she communicates with the spirit of my father and my dead brothers.
I'm aware of this.
I tell you, I've been very disapproving.
Oh, you should be. In the medical practice, we refer to spiritualism as theomania. It has a very bad effect on the mind. The impressions of spiritualism force too much blood to the brain, which is dangerous.
And this is a factor in my mother's
We
case?
should all disapprove of spiritualism. It runs counter to the moral authority of the Bible. That is certainly unhealthy mentally.
I hope we can make my mother change her thinking.
What your mother needs is moral instruction in right behavior. This will do her more good than any other treatment.
I understand.
Unfortunately, your mother's behavior so far has been amiss. She has tried to write letters to people who are not on the approved list. And when we confronted her, she's been untruthful.
She lied.
Well, this deceit can be put down to moral insanity. Now, I've told her clearly that good behavior is the proper route to a cure for mental disease. I hope that eventually she'll begin to take these instructions to heart.
It seems this moral insanity is a danger to herself.
Your mother's is a typical case of what we call monomania.
Why, not even on your birthday, I mean
Talk
it.
like I want to on my birthday or any other goddamn day of the year. And anybody here don't like it knows what they can do.
You don't mean that.
What makes you think I do?
I just know you don't mean it.
You don't know a goddamn thing you never did.
And Daddy, you don't mean that.
Yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do. I mean it. I put up with a whole lot of crap around here because I thought I was dying. And you thought I was dying, and you started taking over. You can stop taking over now, because I'm not going to die. You can just stop this business now of taking over because I'm not dying of cancer like you thought I was dying of. Ain't that so? Didn't you think I was dying of cancer? Ain't that so? Didn't you have an idea I was dying of cancer and now you could take control of this place and everything on it? I got that impression. I seem to get that impression. You loud voice everywhere, you fat old body button in here and there.
Hush, the preacher.
Fuck the goddamn preacher. Do you know what I said? I said, fuck the goddamn preacher!
I have never seen you act like this, and I can't think what's got into
I
you.
put up with all that laboratory and exploratory operation and all just so I would know if you and me was boss here. Well, now it seems that I am and you me, and that's my birthday present. And my cake and champagne. Because for 3 years now, you've been gradually taking over boss and talk and sashaying your family body around this place I made this place. I was overseer on it. I was the overseer of the straw and Ocello plantation. I quit school at 10. I quit school at 10 years old and went to work like a nigger in the fields. And I rose to be Ocello's big manager of the straw and Ocello plantation, and the place got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I did all that myself without any goddamn help from you. And how you think I'm just about to take over? I'm just about to tell you, you are not just about to take over. You are not just about to take over a goddamn thing. Is that clear to you, lad? Is that fair play to you now? Is that understood completely? I've been through the laboratory from A to Z. I've had the goddamn exploratory operation, and nothing is wrong with me but a spastic colon. Made spastic, I guess, by disgust, by all the goddamn lies and lies I've had to put up with. And all the goddamn hypocrisy I've been living with all these 40 years we've been living together. Can't hide it. Blow out the candles on the birthday cake. First up your lips, draw in a deep breath, and blow out the goddamn candles on the cake.
Oh, Big Daddy,
What's the matter with you?
in all these years, you never believed I loved you.
Huh?
And I did. I did so much. I did love you. I even love your hate and your hardness, Big Daddy.
It'd be funny if that was true. And then in Morocco, them Arabs I remember one day in Marrakesh, that old walled Arab city. I sat on a broken down wall to have a seagull. It was fearful out there. And this Arab woman stood in the middle of the road and looked at me till I was embarrassed. She stood stock still in the dusty, hot road and looked at me till I was embarrassed. But listen to this. She had a little child with her, a little naked girl with her, barely able to walk. And after a while, she set this child on the ground, whispered something to her, and gave her a shove. This child come toward me, come toddling up to me, barely able to walk. Jesus, it makes you sick to remember something like this. It stuck out its hand and tried to unbutton my trousers. That child is not yet 5. Do you believe me, or do you think I'm making this up? I went back to the hotel and I said to Big Mama, get packed. We're clearing out of this country.
Big Daddy, you're on a talking jack tonight.
Sir, you an animal is a beast that dies, but the fact that he's dying, don't give him pity for others. No, sir. No, did you say something?
Yes.
What?
Hand me over that crutch so I can get up.
Where are you going?
I'm taking a little short trip to Echo Spring.
To where?
Liquor Captain.
Yes, boy, the human animal is a beast that dies, and you just back on out and go through those 5 other rooms.
Daddy? Big Daddy? Big Daddy, you didn't mean all those things you said to me, did you? Sweetheart? Sweetheart? Oh, Big Daddy, I know you didn't mean all those awful things. I know you didn't. I know you didn't mean all those things in your
All I ask of that woman is that she leave me alone, but she can't get it through her head that she makes me sick. That comes from having slept with her so many years. I should have quit much sooner, but that old woman, she never could get enough of it. And I was good in bed. They say you got only so many and each one is numbered. Well, I got a few left in me and I'm going to find a good one to spin it on. I'm going to find me a choice one. I'll strip her naked and choke her with diamonds and cover her with minks and hump her from hell to breakfast.
Who's that laughing in there?
Is Big Daddy laughing in there?
Crap! Those 2 drips. Oh, yeah, son, I'm happy. I'm happy, son. I'm happy. Life is very long. T.S. Eliot. Absolutely goddamn right. Especially in his case. And he lived to be 76 or something. A very long life, especially in those days. And he was only in his 30s when he wrote it, so he must have had some insight. Give the devil his due. Very few poets could have made it through his trial and come out the other side brilliantined and double-breasted and Anglican. Yeah, it's not hard to say, faced with Eliot's first wife, lovely Viv, how Hart Crane or John Barryman might have reacted. Just foot race to the nearest bridge. Olympian suicidalist. But not Eliot. No. Following sufficient years of ecclesiastical guilt, just plop her in the nearest asylum and get on with the day. God Almighty, you gotta admire the purity of the survivor's instinct. Barryman, the old goat. The world is gradually becoming a place I do not care to be anymore. Now, I don't know what that says about me and my greater affinity for the damaged. Probably nothing good. I admire the hell out of Elliot the poet, but the person I can't identify.
Son of a bitch!
Violet, my wife. Fortunately, the pills she takes eliminate her need for equilibrium. So she only falls when she rambles. But she doesn't ramble much. My wife takes pills and I drink. That's the bargain we've struck. One of the bargains. One of the many paragraphs in our marriage contract. Cruel covenant. She takes pills and I drink. Now, I don't drink because she takes pills. Or whether she takes pills because I drink, I learned long ago never to speak for my wife. As the reasons why we partake are any more inconsequential. But the facts are, my wife takes pills, and I drink. Now these facts have over time made burdensome the maintenance of traditional American routine. The paying of bills, the purchase of goods, the cleaning of clothes, carpets, and carpets. Rather than once more assume the mantle of guilt and vow abstinence with fingers crossed in the queasy hope of righting our ship, I have decided and chosen to turn my life over to a higher power and join the ranks of the hiring class. Now, this is not a decision with which I'm entirely comfortable. I know how to launder my own dirty undies. Been doing it all my life, me or my wife. But I'm finding it's getting in the way of my drinking. Something has been said for sobriety.
For instance, what if death were not the end of life, but rather an integral part of who we are to become? The Hindus believe that at the very moment of birth, the very moment we're born, we begin to die. What? What's wrong? I mean, are we all going to die?
Well, who wants to be reminded every day about
what?
About death?
You see what she just did? She had a hard time even getting the word out, yeah? Now, the reason you had such a hard time expressing yourself, and the reason all of us are reluctant to talk about death, is that we're conditioned to think of death as something evil. Well, what if we could view it differently? What if we had this amazing paradigm shift and looked at death not apart from life, but a part of life? Did you hear the difference?
And not to forget death as a reason for hope eternal. I am not well. My heart pumps half what it should. If anybody, I should be afraid of death. But I tell you, I'm not. My friends, death is not this black specter waiting to take us away. It doesn't even have to be a black death. It can be turquoise, lavender, teal, whatever you want. Death can be a wonderful part of our lives. Don't block it out. Let it in and embrace it. Yes, even love it. You know, we've learned so much together, you and I, but we have so much more to learn from where we're going. And so my parting words to you all, until we all meet again, have a great death.
You know, there are more dead people in the world than alive. And we who live and breathe today are nothing compared to those who have come and gone before. A grain of sand on the shores of time, a footnote in the book of life. So it's better to view us as not being separate from one another, but rather a part of one big family, here and now and forever. We're all on this journey, you see, traveling through time and space, towards experiences we may not now comprehend. But we will.
Say we're going to leave the lights down, but that's okay. I heard at least one person that noticed that last line of the August Osage County monologue. Something has been said for sobriety. As it did. Well, not much. When we prepped his lines, that was one that Jim never forgot. But with all his own work, he never spared his support for his fellow performers. And one that he's hosted in many venues, and he adored her work, was his friend Shari Lynn. Unfortunately, Shari had to leave for the mainland yesterday, but she has not only come here in spirit, but she's here on video, and with this song that she chose because it represents everything that Jim personified. And nights.
Okay. Give me 3 beats here. 1, 2. No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and taking bets. For I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you got. I've had my share, I drank my fill. Even though I'm satisfied, I'm hungry still to see what's down another road beyond the hill and do it all again. So here's to life and all the joy it brings. Yes, here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams. Funny how the time just flies, how love can go from warm hellos to sad goodbyes. love. Here's to you.
Maltby co-starred with Jim a quarter century ago in HBU's Crucible. And Becky last appeared with him here in Osage County. And here now is Becky's video tribute.
Howdy, folks. Howdy. Howdy. Oh, now come on. Y'all can do better than that. Howdy. Yeah, that's better. Oh, come on. Y'all can do better than that. I said howdy. Howdy. Yeah, that's better. Y'all can do better than that. I said howdy.
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind.
There was a chance and I took it for you.
So I was the one with all the
I'm 61 years old. Wouldn't I get another chance to make something for you?
while you were
61 years old. When you get it, you don't get another chance, do you?
a beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain.
Welcome to Rosie's on the Mall.
That you're my hero, and everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings.
I have decided and chosen to turn my life over to a higher power and join the ranks of the hiring class.
But I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. Of course I know I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know
Well, the weeks for these, weeks for corruption. Take them.
you're everything I wish I could be? I could fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wings. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, and I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings.
Therefore, what is left for the lawyer to bring out?
You are the wind
I think I have made my point, have I not?
beneath my wings. Oh, the wind beneath my wings. You are the wind beneath my wings.
There were two old men having lunch in a restaurant at the time. I'll make this short. And one of them looked up and said he thought something wrong with his friend's ear, and he said, "You know, I think you've got a suppository sticking out of your ear." And Harry said, well, suppository, really? And he reached up and pulled it out. And he said, yeah. He said, thanks for telling me that. He said, now I think I know where my hearing aid is. Well, sir, here we are again. We'd like to thank you once again for all that you've done for us. Things are going along just fine.
You're my knight in shining armor, and just a little bit more.
You're my morning sunrise, and just a little bit more. I can't imagine life without you. You're the one I adore. Stay with me and make my life complete. Who could want any
Today in society, go for classical poetry. So to win their hearts, one must quote witty Aeschylus and Euripides. One must know Homer and believe me both. Sophocles, also Sappho, unless you know Shelley and Keats and Pope. These will call you a dope, but the poet of them all, Sodom simply Raymond, is the poet people call. The father's drafted on Raymond. Brush up your Shakespeare, start quoting him now. Brush up your Shakespeare, and the women you will wow. Just declaim a few lines from Othello, and she'll think you're a hell of a fella.
If your blonde will respond when you flatter her, tell her what Tony told Cleopatra.
If she fights when her clothes you are mussing, what a clothes, what you do about nothing. Brush up your Shakespeare, and we'll all kowtow. Brush up your Shakespeare, start quoting him now. Brush up your Shakespeare, and the women you will wow.
With the wife of the British ambassador, try a crack out of Troilus and Cressida.
If she says she won't buy it or take it, make her take it. What's more, as you like it.
If she says your behavior
Is heinous, kick her right in the Coriolanus. Woo! Brush up your Shakespeare, and we'll all kowtow. Brush up your Shakespeare, start quoting him now. Brush up your Shakespeare, and the women you will wow. If you can't be a ham and do Hamlet, she will not give a damn or a damlet.
just reciting an occasional sonnet,
And your lap will have honey upon it. When your baby is pleading for pleasure, let her sample your major for measure. Brush up your Shakespeare, and they'll all cow, cow, and they'll all cow, cow. Each baby, and they'll all cow, cow. Start quoting him now. Brush up your Shakespeare, and the women you will wow.
Better mention the Merchant of Venice, when her sweet pound of flesh you would menace.
If her virtue at first she defends well, just declare that all's well that ends well.
And if still she won't give you a bonus,
You know what Venus got from a donut. Brush up your Shakespeare, and they'll all cow, cow.
think so.
And they'll all cow, cow. That's right. And they'll all cow, cow. Brush up your Shakespeare. Stop quoting him now. Brush up your Shakespeare, and the women you will wow. If your girl is the Washington Heights dream, treat the kid to a Midsummer Night's Dream.
And she wants to live all by herself night. Let her rest every 11
For
for
one night, if because of your heat she gets huffy, better play on and lay on McDuffie. Brush up your Shakespeare, and they'll all cow, cow.
think so.
And they'll all cow, cow.
More soon.
And they'll all cow, cow.
Keep round.
And they'll all cow,
Thanks very much.
Of course, that last tour de force, was with Brad Powell. Kind of artistic take moment. And of course, Brad is here, not only as his great friend and co-actor and director, but also as the artistic director of TAG, the Brad Powell Theater, which is one of our sponsors tonight. So Brad, would you please? Joyce. Before that, before we hear Brad, we are going to hear from Joyce. You saw those wonderful moments from Rosie's, which was one of so many shows that Joyce directed and worked with Jim in at HPU.
It's never been good with mics. It's okay. Can you see me? You don't have to see me. Can you hear me? One of my great memories will always be one of my fondest memories. It wasn't what happened on stage, although I loved a lot of what happened on stage, but was, at HPU Theater, our backstage was around the nursing labs. And it would be every night during the run of the show, of course before that at rehearsals, but during the run of the show where I'd pop back there at intermission, and there was Brad and Jim in the outside one of the nursing labs rehearsing Brush Up Your Shakespeare. They were constantly going over all their little movements together. That was lovely. Anyway, there's been so much. I will just say a few things, hopefully. So cut me down, wave to me, get the book if I don't just say a few things. I directed Jim, I think I counted 11 shows at HPU. And then I did a Glenn Cannon Foundation, did a Rosie's reunion at Temple Emmanuel. Actually, there would have been a 12th show. It was going to be my final production at HPU, but Jim's health didn't allow him to be in it. So first I want to say a few words about Jim from a director's point of view. Jim was a director's dream. He brought a truth, an honesty to every role he played. And I think it was because, well, I know it was because Jim was an intuitive actor. His instincts were right there. And he inhabited a role, he felt the role, he stood in the shoes of every character he played, whether it be a villain, hero, or something in between. He made my task so easy because all I had to do was be his guide. And being Jim's guide through all those productions that I had the great fortune to direct him in was one of the highlights of my directorial career. And he also, of course, as all of you know who've worked with him, there was the Jim who brought such delight to the rehearsals, I must know, of course I've forgotten them all, must know 3,000 jokes because before every rehearsal there were at least one or two, and before every performance. And he had a wonderful way of bringing every cast together with his charm, his genuine humanity and fun and joy of theater. He loved it. He loved it. He said it to many of you many times. I know he said it to me. If he could have found a way to give up law, boy, acting would have been his thing. But one interesting thing also about Jim was with that wonderful sense of humor he had and all the jokes and fun that he had at rehearsals and before shows. And I knew this all the time, but I think I found it out. It was most clear to me the last show he did for me at HPU, which was Heritage. And in that cast we had 4 students. And everybody gravitated to him. They loved him. They loved his jokes and all. But what Jim could do is then rehearsal would start and a couple of these young men would be fooling around and joking around, and that dedication that Jim had, that respect for the process was immediately there, and he could just, better than me, he could say, stop, we're rehearsing now. He was the ultimate professional as well. But mostly for me, I am missing, will miss forever, Jim, my friend. The same integrity, the same empathy he could bring to his characters, he brought to his friendships. Whether it was the fun that many of us have had with him, the many Bloody Marys he and I shared and laughed and joked about, or the sharing of our lives the joys, the pains, and his ability to be able to, again, put himself in your shoes as a listener, as an all-giving friend. You felt it in just talking with him, that warmth that came, and then how he allowed also to allow me to be into his life and to share with me. It was a great honor that he could trust and he could give that trust. I could go on and I won't. All I can say is that he was a very, very dear man, and I will miss him.
Thank you, Joyce. And now we will hear from Brad.
Thanks, Jim. First of all, on behalf of Eric DeMoto, myself, and TAG, and Manoa Valley Theater, I want to thank all those who put this together. We appreciate it. In these last few years, we've seen the loss of several of our leading theater personalities here in Hawaii. Jim Hutchinson, Sam Paulson, Glenn Cannon, just to mention a few, and now Jim Tharp. As artistic director of TAG, the actors group, we were able to have Jim appear in a stirring production of On Golden Pond. I was happy to direct him in The Insanity Case of Mrs. May Lincoln, and one of his last performances as Big Daddy in our production of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof with the so talented Joe Pruden. It was my privilege to work with him in a number of productions as a director, choreographer, and a fellow actor. Thanks primarily to Joyce Maltby and the top-notch theater that she created at HBU, I was able to get to know Jim both as an actor and a person. I choreographed all of the Rosie's Place musicals that Jim was in, and the highlight of my acting career was in Joyce's production of Kiss Me Kate, which I choreographed and performed as Jim's comrade in crime, simply named Gangsta Number 2. The hours that Jim and I spent rehearsing, and as Joyce said, even up till the final night, we were out in the hall rehearsing because we kept wanting to get every little movement right and together. Brush Up Your Shakespeare was probably one of the greatest things I have ever had the chance to do. And it was one of the hardest things, but it was the most fun time that I have ever spent in the theater. And the work paid off. It was a Po'okela for that number in the 2001 season. One of the funniest moments in that production was at one performance, Jim and I were making a phone call. Jim was on the phone and was just, I was just standing there watching him. He was holding the receiver up to his ear, and he turned suddenly and pulled the cord out of the wall. Without missing a beat, Jim picked up the cord, looked at it, showed it to me, and then stuck it back in the wall. He shrugged his shoulders and continued the scene. He never broke up or hesitated.
He was totally in character and completed the scene without a single pause. I, on the other hand, was standing there, biting a hole in my lip, trying to keep from laughing. But the audience, however, had no such restraint, because the laughter seemed to go on and on and on. And that was Jim, the consummate professional actor. Jim was not only a terrific actor, singer, and all-round performer, but he was also a wonderful person. The many hours I spent during rehearsals and outside of rehearsals with him were enjoyable. He had a wealth of knowledge on many subjects and gave me personal advice whenever I needed it. I cherish those times that we worked together. They are among the fondest theater memories I know. I know that wherever he is now, people are laughing and enjoying being around this kind spirit. Break a leg, Jim.
I can imagine that those rehearsals weren't just about the movements either. The voids, oh the voids. TAG's co-sponsors and our host this evening are the wonderful, amazing MBT team. They're led, of course, by Dwight Martin, who was not able to be here tonight, but he sent his love and his regrets, as did John Rampage and Dina Dre, who had performers tonight. But the hosting duties were left in the more than capable hands of Sarah and Justin and Liza and Braddock. With him in Duck Hunter Shoots Angel.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to be in a play, Duck Hunter Shoots Angel, with Jim Tharp here at MBT. It was a comedy by Mitch Albom, who also wrote Tuesdays with Maury. It was a comedy about two hunters and brothers, Jim and I, who seemed to encounter an angel. I played Jim's brother because, for all intents and purposes, we were pretty much twins. The show was a blast, but I can honestly say that the show Jim put on in the wings was just as fun as anything the audience saw on stage. For instance, Jim had a wonderful habit of saying sweet words of encouragement before he stepped out on stage for a scene, and we had all of our scenes together. Like once he told me as we were stepping out on stage together, he said, "If you screw up our scene, I'll have you killed." Killed. Or another time we're just walking on stage and he said, "I hid all of your props." Or even another time, he said, right as we went on stage, "I forgot all my lines." And then he said, "You're on your own, you big." He said, "You're on your own, you big-eyed bastard." And of course, he once also said, right as we were about to go on stage, "I have to poop." Try doing a scene with a straight face after that. See, that was one of the things that I absolutely cherished about Jim, was his sense of humor. At one point, Jim sat on the lanai once and he was telling me stories about his youth. And 5 hours later, he He told me, guess what? I just got into the funniest show ever. And I was excited. And he said, it's called August Osage County. And I thought for a minute about the show that was basically a 4-hour-long Valentine to dysfunctional families everywhere. It was peppered with fighting, flying plates, and 4-letter words, and that's the tame stuff that happened. So I said, Jim, how is that the funniest show ever? And he responded, I do one monologue at the top of the show, and then I leave and I'm never seen again. He said, it's funny because I get to sleep in the back while everyone else talks nonstop for 4 hours. And then he said, he goes, better yet, I'm just gonna go home. So I laughed, but I cautioned him and I said, Jim, what about the curtain call? Your bow? So Jim paused for a long time. He looked at his feet and he said, I have to stay for that, don't I? And I said, yes, you know. And then Jim responded with a piece of advice that I hold near and dear to my heart until today. Sometimes I hear it repeated in my head daily in Jim's sweet, melodic voice. Jim put his hand on my shoulder and said, don't be an asshole. He then smiled and said, I do what I want. At the end of the show, it's revealed that my character is actually an angel. And I think that maybe Jim's up there pulling guardian angel duties for us. And that makes me a little bit comforted and a lot scared, actually. I hope my car starts tonight. When I heard that our Jim was no longer with us, it truly made me sad. But I realized that the legacy he left me was his sense of humor, and that's how I'm going to remember him, with a smile on my face, a smile that he put on my face many, many times before. Thank you, Brother Jim.
We have very little time left now. The time here is up, but we're going to have dynamite desserts out here on the lanai, and we probably have maybe half an hour before we have to be sure to go to Ghost Light at like 8:45. So right now, though, with a big, mille grazie to Don Conover. Don is going to play us out with When the Saints Go Marching In. And what you know Jim would say, so sing.